have been understanding. Okay, so this is being recorded. I charge about a million rupees for my recording. Okay, so please ensure that you keep that ready and send that payment to me at the end. Okay, so a key essential tip from my side to all of you all is, no matter whether you're talking about doing a speech or a presentation or a pitch to anybody, don't worry about how the audience will look at you. Just think about what is the value that you can give to your audience. And that is something which is a very, very important facet in any presentation or any speech that you're making, no matter what it is. Now, when it comes to a pitch, an elevator pitch or any kind of a pitch, there's a lot of misconception that people have is that the intent of that pitch is to achieve an objective, which is either to secure money or something like that. Well, interestingly, you need to understand one thing: when you're doing a pitch at any point on any place, the primary goal of the pitch is only to get you the next meeting. That's it. Like they say, when you go for an interview or when you put in a job application, the job of the job application is to get you an interview, not to get you the job. In the same way, the job of a pitch is just to get you the next meeting and not necessarily get you the money or get you a contract or something like that. So one of the fundamental things that people mix up and try to put it in a pitch is to say that, hey, I need to put in everything that I need the other person to know about my business or my organization. It's not necessary. What you're really trying to do is to ensure that you're getting the next meeting. And like you heard in the previous session, when you spoke about vocal variety and body language, you're also trying to communicate the excitement and the opportunity that your business really offers, or whatever is it that you're trying to pitch to somebody. What is the benefit to them that you're really bringing to the table? So this is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. The second thing is that a good business pitch, if you really utilize, and I'm taking the context of business pitch, and I assume that even if you're in a job, you might be needing to pitch your ideas, concepts. It's not just to find investors, right? It might help you to find employees, partners, advisors, mentors, whatever else that you want to find. So the concept that we are going to talk about is not just about raising money, but are relevant for any other kinds of pitches that you might need to make in your life. So keep this point of view in mind. Now, I hope everybody has heard about Guy Kawasaki. Who's heard this name? Can you put up your hand and tell me who is Guy Kawasaki? He's not the guy who invented the Kawasaki motorcycle, by the way. Yeah, anybody has heard this name before? No one. Wow. Okay. Have you? Sorry.
Rohan, you can unmute and speak.
Yes, he's a prominent investor in Silicon Valley. Yes.
Right. He's a very prominent investor in Silicon Valley. Any books that you've read about him or read that he's written?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Absolutely right. He's the writer and the author of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So he has a 10-20-30 rule, which is obviously applicable for most presentations, but is obviously applicable for pitch presentations. 10 refers to 10 slides, 20 refers to 20 words per slide, and 30 refers to the font size that you should use in your slides. So this is the simple 10-20-30 rule that Guy Kawasaki talks about. So anywhere when you're making a pitch or a presentation, keep the 10-20-30 rule in mind. 10 slides, 20 words in a slide, and 30 font size in a slide. These are the three things that you should keep in mind. And among the 10 slides that he talks about, if you're making a pitch present, and this is especially if you're raising money, not for everything else, these are the first 5 slides that you should have. I'm not going to run through all of them. You can take a picture if you want, if you intend to raise money. If not, this is just from an information point of view. These are the first 5 slides that Guy Kawasaki recommends. And these are the next 5 slides, right? So when you cover these 10 slides, and these are the 10 key elements that you communicate out, this is where it really is a great way for you to pitch to raise money. Okay. Like I said, I do not see any of you intending to raise money, so I'm not going to dwell upon this particular 2 slides a lot. But let me get on to some of the key things that you do not do when you're making a pitch presentation for anything, whether you're going in to raise money or you're going in for any other purpose. I see a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of startup founders who say that what I need is just 1% of the market to succeed. They talk about there's no competition. They think that everybody will buy my solution or product, or I have a first mover advantage. Now, these are completely outdated concepts or concepts that don't really, because investors or somebody who's looking at your business seriously, they are not turned on by these things because they actually get turned off. So be very, very mindful that you don't really talk about these things. What is really important in any kind of a presentation, whether it's a pitch presentation for funding or it's a pitch presentation for a business or a concept, I think the three elements that you have to keep in mind is you have to keep it simple, right? What you really have to bring out is what is the essence of your business. Speak in plain terms and obviously avoid industry or technical jargon. We assume just because we understand the concepts or we understand the acronyms, they sound sexy or they sound very professional in front of audiences. Not necessarily. The person in front of you might not understand all the concepts that you're really referring to. So it's very important that you avoid jargons and you speak in plain terms. Just speak the way that you would be speaking to a good friend, and obviously who's not from the same industry, so that you don't land up making that particular mistake. The other elements is a good way to ensure that your presentation or a pitch really becomes powerful is say the unexpected. Everybody is expecting all the standard stuff that people talk about or people cover. Think about this when you're making your presentation or your pitch. Can you pose an unusual question? That is something that can set off the audience thinking, right? It sets them off on a journey that they are wanting to explore. It's like that hook, like you might have heard in the opening for a speech, right? If you're able to create a great hook that ensures that that audience or that those investors or that other entity who is going to be listening to your pitch presentation is now turned on in terms of thinking, okay, what is this person going to say? Can you put up a stunning statistics which is relevant to what is the area of opportunity that you're discussing or the concept that you're really presenting? Because that sets a person of thinking, because if they are hearing the same thing that everybody has heard before, then it turns them off again. It's a simple element that human beings have an amazing ability to switch off. They'll be looking at you, they'll be nodding their heads, but they're now wondering, what is my wife cooked for dinner tonight? Where is my husband or where is my boyfriend going to take me out? For which movie are we going to go next week or whatever else? What is the mischief my son is doing at home? Whatever it is, right? Their minds are somewhere else. They're just there in person, but mentally they have gone to some other dimension. So if you are able to do the unexpected, it ensures that you bring them back, right? And they are back in the room physically, mentally, and tuned in to what is it that you are trying to say. So these are the ways that you put in a question, you put in a statistic, and a stunning statistic, an interesting analogy, all of these things that you could do. Now, again, because none of you are raising money, otherwise we could have gone into that, but we can take it up later on. Now, what are some of the other things that you should be doing? Be concrete. And this is specifically to when you're raising money, when you're trying to, what are the human actions or what are the activities that you as a founder or your business, or even if you are a leader of a project group and you're making a present somebody, what are the actions that are going to take in there? Can you provide sensory information that a person is able to click to? That means now you can see my slides are only visuals, only words, and somebody is reading and articulating, and I'm articulating that. When you put in visuals, right, a different part of the brain is activated. If you're able to put in other elements like this, it activates, like we did a poll. Poll is just to activate and thinking process here. So all of this is what it helps you. How about cliches? Because this is something that cliche is something that everybody lands up using and saying all the time. So it doesn't really help you. Going beyond that, it's very important that if you are making a pitch presentation for anything, whether it's raising money, you're signing up a partner, you're doing whatever else you want there, how can you demonstrate credibility? Now, investors bet on people actually. So when I also invest money into companies, I look at who the founder is, because I am betting on that individual more than the concept. Because even if the concept fails, then tomorrow I know that person will bounce back and pivot into something else, which might actually ensure that I get a return on my investments, just like that. So they'll always bet on people. In the same way, even if you go to within the organization also, right? Even if you go to, you're going to maybe internally making a presentation for somebody for a proposal or something like that. they're looking at you also, right? Who's the team that is really doing that? So they're going to bet upon you besides also on your proposal. Can you explain your capabilities? What is it that you bring to the table? Can you ensure that you put in your team's credentials, right? It's not just about what is the title that you have, or it's not about your education that you have. Even though that's relevant and important, it can make an impact if you're from IIT Delhi or something like that, or if you've done an ISB. Yes, it makes a big difference. But then beyond that, can you go beyond that? Have you done, are you able to present the credentials in a way that support, if you are, just for example, pitching an education concept and an idea, right? And if somebody has gone and one of your team leaders or one of your senior team members has been a part of maybe an education program in rural India where they went and gave 1 year of their time, right? And something like that. Now that becomes, in my opinion, much more powerful to build in the credibility that says, hey, we are the education space and look at this is the experience or the exposure that my people bring in, right? So this is how the credentials or the capabilities can be showcased out. And then obviously show your emotion. The same way that you heard in the previous session when it came to vocal variety and body language, right? A flat monotone is not going to impress anyone, whether externally or internally. You really require to be able to show your interest and your passion. How much is it that you're committed to? What is it that you're talking about? Because that is one of the biggest element, like we saw again, 93%, right, of what people capture will be through all the non-verbal elements. So it's very important, whether it's online, whether it's offline, are you committed to what is it that you're pitching and presenting for? If it's a dry, non-committal, completely uninteresting kind of a monologue from you, it's not going to help you at all. Be genuine, be authentic at the end of the day. Don't try to be something that you're not, right? If you struggle to use great language, don't try to use fancy words. They will come out awkwardly, first of all, as well as they might, if you mispronounce them, it actually makes you look bad. And if you want to rectify that, then obviously join Toastmasters, because you can practice and fail here. And then in the real world, you can go and succeed, because all those mistakes you can make in a Toastmasters meeting and do that here. And lastly, when you are presenting something, reflect your own values, because values are what makes you what you are. So if you are presenting something, or if you are positioning yourself as something which you're not, it's going to come out as inauthentic, right? And people will see that very, very easily. So be genuine, be authentic. Even if suppose, just for example, you struggle with language, that's okay. Because at the end of the day, what people are more interested in is genuineness. They are not rating you. This is not TOEFL exam, right? That they are rating you in terms of a language skills or something like that. So don't worry about it, right? Be genuine, be authentic, let your passion show. I have seen the best of entrepreneurs, the best of people, even in corporate organized, successful, irrespective of, social skills or language skills and all that, because they were passionate, they were genuine, and that's what makes a big difference. Very, very important element to any pitch, any presentation. Can you tell a story? Can you weave a story into what is it that you're talking about? Can you bring out an element that makes a big difference? I can share several examples of entrepreneurs that I know, right? Might have great ideas, might have great concepts, it might be a groundbreaking element of a business that they want to enter into. But I have seen that when you are able to translate that into a story, your pitch, your presentation, that is what really gets people excited. They can connect the dots much more easier, right? If you're wanting to indicate why your product or service is important, can you tell it in the form of a story? Can you relate to that? Like in this particular case, if I say that, hey, all of you are attending this Speechcraft program because you want to be the better version of yourself. And I can give you so many examples where I've seen people who have come to Toastmasters and that has changed their lives. Because I know people who came to Toastmasters, learned speaking, and because of that experience, they went off and did a stint internationally at their headquarters, right? Because they did that. I have seen people who had aspired to get into organizational ISBs, had failed in the previous interviews when they had attempted in the past. They came to Toastmasters, they tried it out, and that is how I know people who got into ISB. Now, when I start giving these stories, right, then it connects to you, because, if you aspire for any of these elements, then you start connecting the dots then, right? So that is what it really helps you, that if you're able to bring in the stories to bring that out. And that's what you really learn in Toastmasters, bring in stories no matter what you can. Even if it's a dry technical presentation, there's always some facet of a story that can be brought in. Now, even though at the end of the whole thing, there was my topic originally was to create an elevator pitch, right? That was the original concept. What I spoke about earlier was a general pitch, a general presentation. Now I'll come to what is the concept of what we call an elevator pitch. Now, elevator pitch is something that they really pointed out and tell you that if you enter into the elevator and standing next to you is Elon Musk, just for example, right? And you want to pitch him an idea that you know might excite him. So you have up to the time that that lift takes to reach, that elevator takes to reach the floor when he's going to get off, right? That's the time that you have to be able to put out what is it that you do and what is the concept that you are having. So this is the concept of what is known as the elevator pitch. Now, this elevator pitch is relevant not only for an elevator. Elevator pitch is relevant, in my opinion, no matter what you do, because it is these defining moments that actually change your life, in my opinion. No matter, even if an employee, you might meet the CEO of your company in a party, right? And what is it that if you are able to explain what do you do, what is the differentiation, that can make a big difference in your career. In the same way, you meet an investor, the same way, whatever else you might meet your future spouse, or what do you know? It can be a life-changing thing. So this is just the elevator pitch template, right? Basically, whatever you see after those capital letters in brackets, those are what you fill in, right? So you basically have an elevator stage. So first of all, you indicate whom are you targeting? Who is the end customer that you're targeting? And like I said, this is more in the business context right now. So who, and then they say, what is that need that you're trying to fulfill? So every customer that you have has a need that you're trying to fulfill, right? So you first indicate who's the customer that you're serving, what is the need that you're serving as it is. Then you talk about what is your product. That means you state what is your product name. Then you give the product category, right? Where does it fit in? Because everybody is not necessarily familiar. Just because you say that I'm launching a taxi service now, is a taxi service for disabled person? What is it, right? So if you're able to clarify, say that and you indicate what is the product category it fits in, and then what is the key benefit that it really provides. But just for example, if I was saying that I'm launching for the target customer, so if I say for differently able, just for example, okay, if I'm launching a taxi service for people with disabilities, for differently abled people who have a significant challenge using current transportation means, that means I might have a name for it, right? As it is, unique transportation is a differently abled transport service. The key benefit to that is that we offer vehicles with ramp and all the facilities for differently abled people to use, unlike any of the competitors who do not have ingress-egress opportunities, right? Our differentiation is that, we will guarantee that our vehicle comes to you within 30 minutes of your call, right? Just for example, whatever that is now. I've just made that up right now when I'm speaking. So this is an example of how do you create an elevator pitch in just an off the mind kind of a situation that I did. But this is an actual example of something else for maybe construction managers, right? This is a product that is there, a safety work permit product. So this is an example which gives you how can you translate an elevator pitch. So if you start ensuring that at any point of time, whatever work you do, you have this elevator pitch that is available to you, then you can really leverage and utilize it for that moment of truth when you get that opportunity to pitch your concept, your idea to somebody in those couple of minutes of time that you have. So my dear friend, like they say, there are always three speeches that you will always have in your life, right? The one that you practiced, the one that you gave, and the one that you wish you gave. In the same way, there'll always be three pitches for everything that you might do. The difference basically is that how do you ensure that the one you gave is as close as possible that the one you actually wanted to give. That's it. Thank you. Back to our moderator and coordinator.
Thank you, Ajay. Can you just stop sharing the screen, sir? Yes. Thank you so much for that interesting session. Big round of applause. I'm sure I can see some hands raising for questions. Now it's time for Q&A. We can take. We have 10 minutes to answer all your questions. Please switch on your camera, unmute and ask questions. Rohan, I'm sure you must be having some question. First is Rajiv. Rajiv raised his hand. Rajiv, please unmute and ask.
Thank you so much for the session. I have only one simple question is like, how less amount of time we need to prepare for the elevator pitch and how much we need to prepare for maximum? What is the minimum limit and maximum?
Well, elevator pitch, normally they say is anything between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So you might make it shorter or longer, even within that 30 seconds to fit in the time, whatever template I gave you.
So within 30 seconds, all those in the template, we need
Not
to...
necessarily. You might have cut out some stuff. That is appropriately done if you have at least 1.5 to 2 minutes. If you're able to articulate well, but a short version you can always create. You can delete out some stuff, but keep the main essence of the elements in.
So in that 2 minutes, we could follow the template and maybe add stories.
Easily you'll be able to do it. Try it out. Whatever activity you do, put it in, and you'll see that you can comfortably fit it in that time actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vrunda, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. That was really insightful. My question is to really request an example. For example, if I am a job seeker looking to seek opportunities, it's quite awkward to meet an unknown person, but you know if that person is influential, you might want to pitch it. So can you give an example of how could that be?
The simplest way that you have to be able to do this is to be able to create a differentiation in that person's mind. Because if he's an influential person, I'm sure that person meets 20 people every week who might be interested in job. They get resumes in their inbox, whatever it is, like through their networks and all. Create something that leaves an impression and create something that differentiates. 2 elements to do that. If you planned the meeting, then look up the person, look up the interest the person has, and ensure that either you position what you say or do with those elements in mind, so it will create an impression. That's part A. Now, part B is there where you don't have that opportunity, but within your field, right? At the end of the day, differentiation is a key to anything that you do. If you are built anything that differentiates you from so many other people in the same sphere that you do, suppose you are doing law, but suppose beyond your normal degrees or qualifications, you've done something else. You've gone to Coursera and done 4 other very critical programs in laws pertaining to artificial intelligence, just for example. I'm just saying something randomly now. Now, figure out what are those points of differentiation that you can bring out when you're talking so that you leave an impression. And then amongst 10 people or 20 people he might have seen or heard, he said, okay, there was a person who had experience in this or expertise in this. So that will help you possibly. I mean, it's a quick tip, but I hope it helps you.
Thank you.
Vamshi.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful speech. My question is giving any presentation to the client within time, right? Time duration is less time. How it will be? What are the best the techniques to give the effective effective speeches?
That is what you're doing Speechcraft for.
The techniques what giving in shorter time. Yeah. Less time.
Yeah, again, see, the point is, talking about presentation to clients and all, then depends on what stage of a client meeting that you are, right? It depends on that. If you are the first meeting in the client, the second meeting is a proposal discussion. First of all, it varies from that point of view. What is very important to keep in mind is what is it that the client is expecting from that meeting. It's very important to understand that bit so that you are not on a different track. And if you're not clear, it makes sense that you ask this question at the beginning of the meeting, like I did. And I had asked this question to Pramod also. What is the reason that I'm doing this session here? Because if I don't understand that, then I will not be able to deliver value to you. And that I said in the first slide that I showed you all, right? That whenever you are opening your mouth, think what is the value that I'll add to the person in front of me. In the same way, if you're clear what the customer is looking for, ensure you address that. If you're not clear, set out that expectation right in the beginning. Ask the question upfront. What do you expect from us during this meeting? If you understand that clearly, then you're not going to waste his or her time, and you'll ensure that you are focused upon what is it that the outcome the customer wants to achieve? Customer says, hey, I just want to understand what makes you different. You can focus on that. Customer says that, hey, I have this problem. I wanted to figure out if you have a solution. Now you know his problem, then you are able to deep, stuff like that. So ask those questions, be clear in your mind, and focus upon solving that aspect, or addressing that when you're talking to a customer, whatever level. I mean, the customer says, hey, I've got a better offer from somebody else. That's why I just wanted to do this meeting to tell you that I don't want to deal with you. Now it's an opening for you to say that, hey, you got an offer which is priced, but what are the 4 other things that you have? Does that client, does that other party give you? I mean, stuff like that. Now, if you become clear, it's easier for you to be able to utilize that time, because now you're not wasting time on irrelevant things.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
We can have one more questions. We reached the required time. It is already 10.
Yeah.
So we can take
And
one more last question.
we also have one more poll. We have one more poll.
Yes, yes, definitely we'll have it. Shall I launch the poll right now or after this question?
Yeah. Please launch the poll right now.
Okay.
So guys, I love to see whether you are awake or sleeping by the time I'm done, because I was told most of you will have your videos on, but most of the videos are off here. So I don't know.
Yes, I launched the poll.
As Pramod mentioned, it's last question. If I may, what will be your elevator pitch if we are supposed clients for 30 seconds?
Sorry.
How will you do your elevator pitch if we are a proposed clients for 30 seconds?
Okay, so I will only, if you ask me personally, right, I'll share this slide and say, listen, guys, this is the way that I add value, right? So next time that you need to be added value, right, then you can come to me, because if you spend 30 minutes with me today and you learn something new, then obviously that is why I'm here, right? And maybe this is a technique also, because when you do this, now I'm leaving all of you all with a very positive impression about the entire session, right? And you still remember me also about all the other sessions that you guys did that created a differentiator for myself. So look at all of that as learning itself as it is. Wonderful.
Great. Great. Thank you, Ajay sir. Thank you for being here for us. 1 minute. Let me just share the certificate. Yes. Okay. So on behalf of ABCS Season 2, let me show my gratitude to distinguished Toastmaster Ajay Hiraskar for this beautiful session on how to make an effective elevator pitch. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time and energy.
Thank you.
Are you there?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. Absolutely, I'm here. You're not able to see me?
Yes, I can see you. Now let me stop the recording, then we can have an informal discussion. If you have any further questions, we can have it right now. Otherwise,